So today, all about SG specials. I'm not here today to bash the Gibson original series. Did I give it a bashing? No, I didn't. I was just honest. You know, the paintwork on this is flawed. You know, it's a bit so-so. The Epiphone does absolutely everything that these two do for a fraction of the cost. I don't often name guitars, but this one, my custom shop SG Special, is known as Stinky. There's nothing not to love about this guitar. It does sound wicked, really, and it looks wicked. Hello everyone, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the Guitaristas. So today, all about SG specials. If you're a regular viewer, you might recall just about a month or so ago, I was gassing for another Gibson, and I ended up getting it, obviously. This one here, the SG Special in lovely ebony. And as is always the case, when I've got me beady eye on something, it just takes the tiniest little justification to make me pull the trigger. With this one, I thought, oh, if I get that, I can do a review on the channel, which I did about a month ago when I got it. And then I thought, oh, and then I can do a comparison with two other SG specials that I'm lucky enough to already own. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to compare this, the Gibson original series, I think they call this, SG Special, listed on Gibson's website at $1,499. With this, the Epiphone inspired by Gibson SG Special, listed on the Epiphone website at $449. And this one here, which is a Gibson custom shop SG Special. This is a slightly older one that I've had. This is a 2007 model. The one they are selling today, listed on Gibson's website at $3,599. Is that right? Yeah, $3,599. They call that the 63 SG Special. I'll tell you why that is in a bit. So we've got three quite dramatically different price points there. $449, $1,499 and $3,599. So I thought it'd be interesting to put them side by side and do a deep dive comparison of these three. Look at the various bits and bobs and see how they differ, okay? See what's the same, see what's different on them. To liven it up, I'll do lots of playing in between all the nerdy stuff, okay, to try and keep it interesting, and also so we can all have a really good sense of how each of them sound. I'll try and do some direct sound comparisons, but throughout this there'll be some playing so you can have a good old listen, and hopefully I'll cover a variety of tones, cleans and dirties. I'll try and do some cleans, I'll try and do some dirties, okay? Some dirties, doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Now don't forget, all the timestamps are in the description box, so if you're in a bit of a hurry, you don't have to listen to me bang on about neck specifications or whatever. You can skip forward to whatever it is that interests you specifically. If, however, you got half an hour or so to spare, go grab a drink, come back and join me for the journey through the world of SG, well, 3 SG specials, not the whole world, just 3 SG specials. That's what we're looking at today. Let's do it. So we'll start with some basic specs, I think. They're all made of mahogany. The specs say on the Epiphone website, mahogany. The Gibson website, mahogany. Now I'm going to call this, the original series, the ebony one, as Gibson from now on. And the Gibson custom shop one I'm going to refer to that as custom shop, okay? Because it might get confusing otherwise. The Gibson, mahogany. Custom shop, they say solid mahogany. So I guess that means they are saying the custom shop's a one-piece mahogany body, whereas they're not saying with the Gibson and they're not saying with the Epiphone. I think everyone assumes that Epiphones are more than one piece. Several, 2 or 3 maybe. Some people will tell you that it's made of hundreds of pieces of driftwood. I don't believe that personally. Gibson, well, I don't know, you know. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't a single piece. I wouldn't be surprised. Custom shop, you kind of expect it to be a solid piece, don't you? Now, the finish on these is a bit different. On the Epiphone, you've got a gloss polyurethane finish, which is very nice. It's very robust and it's very smooth and it's very well painted and it's quite hard to mark and it looks generally lovely. But a lot of people don't like it because it's poly and they say it's thick and it doesn't allow the guitar to breathe, like perhaps the Gibson. And this is the Gibson standard nitrocellulose finish, which is, of course, as they will tell you, very hard to use. So often their guitars come out of the, you know, the original series guitars come out of Gibson with all sorts of paint flaws, unfortunately, you know, orange peel and God knows what else, to be honest with you. I've spoken about that before in some of my videos and lots of other people have as well, okay? But, you know, they are lovely guitars, but there's a price sometimes with their desire to, and people's desire, should I say really, to have nitrocellulose finish on their Gibsons, okay? You either love it or you hate it, shall we say. And the custom shop uses the same nitrocellulose, although this particular one anyway is VOS, so it's kind of flattened off to give it that sort of aged patina. But I think, you know, these come out with less flaws, so clearly more time and effort is spent getting them right before they ship them out, and that's part of what you're paying for, I imagine. Next up, let's weigh them. The Epiphone. 6 pounds 7 ounces, which is 2.94 kilograms. Gibson, 6 pounds 12 ounces, just over 3 kilograms. Custom shop, £6 12 ounces. Just over 3 kilograms. Okay, what I'm going to do now is whip the strings off these and we'll take a closer look at the necks, the neck profiles, the pickups, everything, you know? Let's do it. Okay, let's crack on. Now the strings are off, we can take a closer look at the neck and the fingerboard and the frets and stuff. First off, look, here are the neck measurements. I'll put these on the screen now. What are they called? The Epiphone's called a 60s slim taper. The Gibson is called a slim taper. And the custom shop is called a 60s slim taper C. And bear in mind, this is an older custom shop, so it may not bear a close resemblance to the current models. But what this actually shows us is that the Epiphone's the slimmest. It then gets a little bit fatter with the Gibson, and then fatter still with the custom shop. Although up at the 12th fret, the custom shop sort of, well, it's actually the same as the Gibson, isn't it? Okay, let's look at the fingerboards and frets. Do these one at a time. First off, the Epiphone here. So this has got an Indian Laurel fingerboard, as you know. Medium jumbo frets and binding, as you can see, same as the others. The difference between the Epiphone and the Gibson is that this doesn't have the fret nibs on. So let's go close on that so you can see the frets and the fret ends without any nibs on this one. the fretwork's quite decent on this, really. It's a 300 odd quid guitar. So I think I paid £319 for this, which is a bargain, quite frankly. And the nut on this is a Guitaraddict Tusk nut. Vintage Epiphone Deluxe Cluson style tuners with the white buttons. Very nicely functioning tuners these are. Here's a Gibson rosewood fingerboard on this one. Binding, as you can see. And yeah, this one has got the fret nibs on. Let's go close on those nibs. There you go. Yeah, and you can see the tooling marks quite clearly on the board and on the binding on the edge there. Again, medium jumbo frets. The nut on this is Guitaraddict. It looks quite different to the Epiphone one. Okay, tuners on this, same, except the only difference as far as I can tell, it says Gibson Deluxe on the back of these instead of Epiphone, but they look pretty much the same. Although, do you know what? The buttons are a bit of a weird colour on this one. There you go. That's the Gibson. The Custom Shop. Current specs of this model, Indian rosewood fingerboard. And I think you can tell by looking at this, it's probably the same. It's quite a nice rich colour. Again, binding exactly the same, although you can see the binding on this is thinner. Yeah, it's a little bit more delicate than the Gibson one, and sort of on both of the others. Yeah, it's a little bit thinner. Yeah, I'll put a little shot here so you can see what I mean. Finer nibs. Got the fret nibs on this. Medium jumbo frets. The spec on this actually says authentic medium jumbo. I don't know what that means really. Well, I don't know what that means for the others. I know what it means for this is that they're authentic. So what are the others? Just sort of fake medium jumbo. Who knows what Gibson are talking about? There you go. The nut on this is nylon, apparently. Again, bearing in mind this is an older model. You know, the current spec model says nylon. Tuners. The difference being, this has got the kind of the vintage correct 3-in-line, I think they call these, so that you know they're on plates. These are like would have been fitted to the original, which is appropriate for a VOS guitar, isn't it? There you go, you can see that. Single line tuners, Cluson Deluxe these are. So better quality tuners on this. And you can see that they've got the press-in bushings there rather than the nuts. I think the others have both got, yeah, the others have both got nuts. Let's now have a closer look at the pickups. First up, I'm going to put up on the screen the pickup readings. So they're all broadly the same, aren't they, actually? Very close, very close. On the bridge, Epi 7.8K, Gibson 7.79K, CS 7.86K. There you go, it's all up there. You can see it's suggested they're probably all identical. I don't know if they are. The specs, basically, on the Epiphone, it says Epiphone Pro P90s. The Gibson just says P90s. And the Custom Shop says Custom Shop P90s. So what I'm going to do now is actually take them out. And we'll have a look underneath and see if we can shed any further light on that. Now, I've had a few people comment that I shouldn't be putting pressure on the neck of a guitar while I've got it on the stand like that. I don't put pressure on really, you know, I'm very careful, but someone did suggest a beanbag under there would be a better idea, and I think that is a great idea. I didn't have a beanbag, but I had these juggling balls, you know, which are beanbags, so I thought I'd try and use these just as a makeshift stand while I'm working on guitars. It's the first time I've tried this, by the way. It might not work at all. Let's see. Just to if I can get the balance right. There you go. The weight is now on the juggling balls. Get rid of that for a minute. Whoops. I've done that thing again where I really should have taken the control plate off and loosened the wires first. Okay, this is the Epiphone. Here you go. That's what that looks like inside. It's quite a nice tidy job. Can we see? I can't unfortunately see under the foam to see what's going on with the neck tenon. The only one on these that specifies a long neck tenon is the Custom Shop. This has got some foam and some springs for the adjusters, basically. And that's it. And all this gobbledygook as their Epiphone pickups. Looks like kind of, that's what they look like. There's the magnets. You can see the magnets there. There you go. That's what they look like. And again, I'm P90 S single. I'm lost. I know N obviously for neck. C, I'm thinking ceramic magnets. But I'm sorry. And I've asked so many times, does anyone know exactly what all of that means? And no one's got it right. I don't think anyone knows. Well, someone must know, but none of us do. There you go. All right, I'm going to put those back and then we'll flip it over. Here's the control cavity of the Epiphone. It's got all CTS 500k pots. It's all hand wired, except it's got the plug-in connector pickups. There you go. That's that one. This is the one with the loose springs. There you go. We've only had these out recently because we did the review. This has got the metal control plates screwed to the body, and then these pickups screw into these, and these springs sit on these holes there. Like that. And last time I did this, they went back easy. Fingers crossed that happens again. So yeah, just to show you again, this is what's going on there. And this just says Rhythm P90 soap bar and Lead P90 soap bar. Okay. The force is strong. Which is good because it stops these springs dropping off. We'll adjust these properly once we put the strings back on. Here we go. Here's the Gibson control cavatar. 500k pots. These are branded Gibson, all hand wired. Orange drop caps. These are .22s. 22s. You know what I mean? that's that. Right, now this one, I've got a feeling I did some modification on this a while ago. You can see from the top of this that I played this. I used to use this live when I first got it. It's quite a guitar, this, I must say. Well, as I remember, I haven't played it actually for a while. I've had this a while now. I got a feeling. That's weird. I'm just going to flip that over a minute. These wires are really tight. There's no room to flip this over. They've been soldered right tight. Can't flip it. See if I can get the other one out, maybe see more on that. Oh, there's a little bit more room there, that's good. But not a lot. Yeah, so yeah, they've been soldered really tight. There's no slack. There's no slack. This is what we've got here. It's quite different, actually. That you can see, I think you can see the long neck tenon on this, can't you? There you go. And quite a different construction, as you can see. I can't flip that one, unfortunately. There's no spring in this. That's interesting. And it's no wonder, as you can see, I've cracked that cover on that. I'm not going to try and drag it off. That cover's actually cracked where I've tried to screw it down further and obviously I've hit wood. So, yeah, okay, well that's quite different. A little bit more timber in there. This is a 15-year-old, this, 2007. So they might have changed this now with the current ones. Made them probably more authentic or less authentic. Would be one way or another, won't it? Okay, right, that's all there is to see. So I'm going to put these back. Try not to break them anymore. That's it there. So that actually, that won't go down at all or come up because there's no springs. That's interesting. I wonder if that's what the originals were like. I'm unlikely to ever find out. I'd love an original SG Special. In fact, I'll put a link in the description box to reverb.com. So you can have a look. There's a whole range of SG Specials, new, used, Epiphone, Gibson, whatever. And I was just creating the link earlier, and there's a 1969 Players one on there, you know, a Players one, which is, you know, not in the best nick, you know, had a headstock break and that. And I thought, I want that. In fact, I do want it. I've just got to try and avoid finding a valid excuse to buy it. I have absolutely no way I've got a valid excuse to buy a 1969 SG Special, apart from I want it. That's all right, that's a valid excuse, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. I'll never have any money. And there is the control cavity. They're pretty much the same, although, what are these pots? They're CTS pots, 500K, 0.22 orange drop caps. It looks pretty much the same as the Gibson, really, doesn't it, that? There you go. Before I put the strings back on, let's have a look at these tailpieces. Okay, Gibson. This is lightweight aluminium. I'm not going to weigh these today, but this is really light. It'll weigh 32 grams, this one. Now, look, this is what they call non-compensated. compared to, this is the Epiphone one, it says Epiphone on the bottom. Compensated. You can see the difference. Originally, so this is, the custom shop one's based on the original 1961. Non-compensated wrap over tailpiece. It's at a jaunty angle, as you can see, compared to this one is compensated with this. It's got a lightning bar down it, and it's because of that, it's straight. It doesn't need to be at a jaunty angle because the lightning bar takes care of intonating the strings, presumably better than the original design. And they changed the lightning bar in 1963. Here's the Gibson lightning bar, 63 design. But as you can see, for some reason, they've changed the spacing between the bridge pickup and the tailpiece. I don't know why they've done that, but they have. So there you go, little journey into the world of 3 SG Specials. Yeah, I mean, these are great guitars. And I've said it before, SG Specials amongst my most favourite guitars. They really are. I think they're really versatile. Hopefully you've heard today, they can do clean. You know, they got all the bite you need for when you need it. And they can do high gain, and they can do great articulation as well. A lot of it to do with P90s, of course, which are wonderful pickups. But also the guitar, you know, the lightweight of the guitar, it's a nice kind of airy sound, which I love. I love it personally. And these all do that really well. There's not a lot between these three. I mean, okay, so let's go through the differences price-wise to start with. Obviously, you've got $449, $1,599, $3,599. So yeah, there's a price bracket for everyone, hopefully. The special here, the Epiphone is the special. They're all special. The Epiphone is affordable, properly affordable. One of my favourite guitars, actually, out of everything here, because it sounds great, it plays great, it sounds great, and because it's so affordable, it really gives it something that sets it above a lot of these expensive ones. When you compare the difference in sound with this and these other two, you've heard today. There's nothing much in it, is there? Certainly between the Epiphone and the ebony Gibson here, I don't think there's anything in it. And if anything, you could argue that the Epiphone edges it. I think that the Gibson, because the bridge pickup is closer to the bridge, it's more brittle. It's more brittle. And with the setting I had it on today anyway, I might not have actually set it up with the Gibson here, and that shows, that shines through. You know, it's probably too brittle for a lot of people. I mean, I do go for a real toppy sound, probably because my ears are a bit worn out, probably, and I have to bear that in mind. But yeah, honestly, I mean, I think in a blind, you wouldn't tell the difference between those two. In a blind test, you wouldn't tell the difference if you were on stage between those two. This one, it's got a bit extra going on, the custom shop. I think we can all hear that. It's kind of like it's on steroids. But this particular guitar has always felt like that to me. It's kind of like, come on, you know, it's a real killer. Always been like that. I used to use this live, and actually there was nothing that came close to it. I wonder if, as we discovered a little bit earlier, these pickups are screwed directly to wood. There's nothing between them. And I wonder if that's a contributing factor to that, because the readings of all of these were broadly similar. Whether or not that means they're similar output, I don't actually know, but I suspect it's a good indicator that they are. They're all pretty similar, aren't they? But yeah, the custom shop here has got an extra, well, you'd say it's got that extra 10%. It's probably got an extra 20%, to be honest with you. It's always been a great guitar, and it's actually stood out today, for me anyway. You know, feel-wise, there isn't a lot in it. There's not a lot of difference in the necks. The custom shop definitely favours what I think I like. I don't actually know if I do like chunkier necks. I always say I do, but whether or not that's true, I don't. To be honest with you, I play so many different guitars that I kind of lose track anyway. But they all feel really comfortable. Actually, I'm going to say the Epiphone's known for having, you know, the slimmer, slightly D-shaped, but it's not uncomfortable. It's not, it's perfectly comfortable. So I wouldn't, it's not a negative on the Epiphone. The Gibson's a bit sticky, you know, it is a bit sticky. The whole finish on this Gibson here is still sticky. It's still very new, isn't it? It's nitros. The tone and volume controls, I did go through them earlier, but I don't know if I've left them in the cut because it was a bit dull, to be honest with you, and I want to try and shift it along. The Gibson, I certainly went through these in the independent review of this, so if you want to hear those, there's the link. But what I will tell you now is the least best with a Gibson. The Epiphone has got CTS pots, as you saw. The Gibson Custom Shop has got CTS pots. This has got Gibson branded pots. Presumably that's something to do with it, but they weren't as good. They weren't quite as good as the Epiphone. The Epiphone were pretty good. The Gibson Custom Shop were great. They're exactly what you want from a set of pots. The roll-off worked on the volumes and tones all the way through the range, and they were properly usable. And this is the guitar that it makes you roll off the volume because because it's too fucking ballsy if you've got the volumes on 10, so you tend to roll it off quite a bit to clean it up a little bit, which is really good actually. And then you can use the tones just to dial in the tone you want as well. Whereas most of the time with cheaper guitars, you can't really do that. You know, you have a go, and sometimes you can get something. That's the difference between the more affordable guitars and a good custom shop. And I emphasize good custom shop, okay, because they're not all like that. You know, they can be pretty disappointing. This is a good custom shop. In 2007, they were obviously trying, okay, and this is testament to that. Epiphone in 2021, I think this is an inspired by Gibson range. They're really trying, you know, they put CTS pots in it and it works. Gibson standard, you know, I'm not here today to bash the Gibson original series. This is probably one of their most affordable guitars actually, this. But, you know, it's a bit so-so. Certainly in the controls. There's nothing wrong with the pickups. The neck's nice, the fingerboard's nice, the fretwork's nice. But the paintwork on this lets it down. The finish lets it down, as I said in the individual review. I gave it a little bit of. Well, did I give it a bash? No, I didn't. I was just honest. You know, the paintwork on this is flawed. Let's see if you can see it there. You know, it's got all these weird kind of marks that you can see. I'm not convinced it's meant to look like that. And it's a negative with this guitar. I describe it as a cracked mirror because that's what it looks like when it catches the reflection in a certain way. And the paintwork in general, and you know, on the horns and stuff is a bit rubbish. They're not very precise. You know, when you compare it to stuff like this, this is spot on, and this is nitros, just the same as this. But yeah, it looks a bit rushed, shall we say. The good thing about this though is the smell. It's fairly new guitar, so you can still smell that wonderful Gibson nitrocellulose. Oh, yeah, just a strong whiff. It's a very intoxicating smell. which reminds me, this custom shop, I bought this used, okay? I don't know if I mentioned that. I bought this used about 4 years ago. And it's a 2007 guitar, so it's been around a little while. And I did buy it from a shop, and they didn't mention this. They said it was really clean and stuff, and I'd seen the pictures, but when it arrived, it reeked of fags, okay? So the previous owner had obviously been a heavy smoker, or it had been a house with a heavy smoker, and it really reeked of fags. So I call this Stinky, okay? Yeah, this is I don't often name guitars, but this one, my custom shop SG Special, is known as Stinky. Now, fortunately, the smell's gone now. It did take a while though. So let's quickly try and sum this up. 3 great SG specials, 3 quite distinctive price points, one for everyone, we hope. The Epiphone does absolutely everything that these two do for a fraction of the cost. It's a killer guitar. It looks great and it sounds great and it feels great. Honestly, you know, if you haven't got an SG special and you don't want to spend a fortune, you know, try and pick one of these up. The list price at $449. I think I paid £320, which is about $350 in today's money. The deals are out there, new or used. You know, if you want to try an SG and P90, a lot of people haven't tried SGs and a lot of people haven't tried P90s. Here's the answer. And then on to the custom shop. It's an amazing guitar, it really is. I'm really pleased I bought this. Several years ago, as I said, and I used, so I didn't pay full retail for it. So actually what I've got here is a Gibson that I would make money on if I decided to sell it, which I'm not going to do, to be honest with you, because I know this works in my band setting if I ever get around to doing that again. And it's great, you know, there's nothing not to love about this guitar. It does sound wicked, really, and it looks wicked. And then there's the Gibson. It's a Gibson, isn't it? And that's enough for a lot of us, isn't it? And I've been there, you know. You just want the headstock, and it's an SG special. So if you want, you know, if you want to do Live from Leeds, Sabbath, whatever, authentic, you know, if you want to play authentic, this is the way to go for most of us, you know, that can't afford and can't justify, really is probably more to the point, isn't it? Can't justify the vast amounts of money that custom shop guitars cost nowadays. So this is the real deal. And you know, while I've nitpicked about certain stuff, you know, it looks the part and it sounds the part. So that's what I think. Now, here's the thing. I bought the Gibson because I'm a guitar addict and I saw it and it winked at me and I thought, oh, I must have that. And as I said earlier, I justified that purchase by saying, well, I can do a couple of films at least. And I said in the review of this that I might upgrade and mod this. But you know what? I've just decided today actually that I'm going to sell this, okay? So after this film, it'll be listed on my Reverb shop, okay? And the link will be in the description box. I don't really have any need for this particular guitar, and I think it should go to a good home, a better home, somebody that properly appreciates it. You know how flawed it is. Watch both the videos. It's now got, this is a little advert, isn't it? Well, I might as well use the opportunity. It's got tiny little scratches all over. Not bad, but just some some usage scratches on the back. I'll give it try and get a bit of a polish up before I list it. And obviously it's got those paint flaws that I've pointed out. So don't go buying it and then sending it back and saying there's something wrong with it, will you? Watch it. If you're interested, yeah, check it out. And let's send this one to a better home. And I've got these two to enjoy still. And as I've said before, the Epiphone is one of my favourite kind of guitars to pick up and play. You know, I have that around a lot. I've played that a lot. This one I should play more. Yeah, I've got a few guitars like this that I really feel guilty about not playing more, but they're beautiful to own. If you get a chance to check out one of the current custom shop range, you know, they're lovely. I mean, they do some great colours as well. They do in a TV yellow now, as well as a Pelham blue and lots of others. But you know, they are. There's some, yeah, £3,500 is what you're going to pay. A little bit less than that maybe. But you know, if you can get one that sounds like this, and I don't know if they are. I mean, I'd like maybe if I sell this, I'll have the dilemma, won't I? I'll go, well, if I sell this, that money can go towards the fund of of getting the original 69 if somebody doesn't beat me to it, or I could put it towards getting a modern one, a new one, you know, a 63 reissue, custom shop, to compare with this one. See what they're like nowadays, eh? Yeah. There's a thought, you see. You see what I've done there? I've just actually found a reason to go and buy another custom shop SG Special. Yeah, I think I better go now before I get myself into more trouble. Thanks for joining me today. Come back next week, see what I'm up to then. Same time, same place. I look forward to it. Cheers for now. Ta-da.